Greetings guys, back in Sydney and back at the amazing Sydney Lyric Theatre, and today we've been invited to the media call for the new production to hit Sydney. It is the hit Broadway and hit West End musical Back to the Future, of course based off the 1985 film, written and directed by Robert Zemeckis and also written by Bob Gale. Extremely looking forward to this. We're just about to head in and check this out. Hopefully you enjoy the footage in the meantime, and I'll be back after this to let you know my thoughts on what I've seen today. Talk to you soon.
Doc? Hey, Doc? Are you here? Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. You know me, huh? Tardy Marty. Hey, Doc, what's going on?
Great Scott! Oh, hey, Marty. Marty! You made it!
Doc, what are you wearing? And what is this thing? I mean, it's a DeLorean, right?
Quick, confirm time that clock. Quick, confirm time that clock, please.
1:20.
1:20, my control clock in the car. What does it say?
It says 1:15.
1:15. They're exactly 5 minutes off. That means I traveled into the future. 5 minutes into the future, Marty! I just become the world's first time traveler. I know.
A time machine?
Yeah.
A time machine? Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Well, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style? I'm the architect of TikTok tech. I think with I on a cosmic trek. I sorted through the quarks and quirks, and for once I know I made a thing that really works. It's a time machine that goes both ways, to new tomorrows and to yesterdays. It's a car for the stars, like Captain Kirk's, and for once I know I made a thing that really works. It works, it works, it works, it works. In terms of the vernacular, the spectacular, because it works, it works, it works, it works. And now I found my glory in this stainless steel DeLorean. It's gratifying knowing I was first because it works.
Hey, Doc!
Yeah!
Who are the girls?
I don't know, they just show up every time I start singing.
Yes!
One false trauma up against your head. He put you in a coma, you can end up dead. I'm calling for your mama, but for me instead. That one false trauma when I slipped and hit my head. Shook something loose in me, some live fruit in the tree. And that's when I could see how thrilling time can be. It got me the connection after decades of rejection. I never really thought I'd get to see how well it works, it works, it works, it works. And this new invention of the fourth dimension, cause it works, it works, it works, it works. I found what I was searching for, it's called the flux capacitor. It's just as breaking scientific facts, because it works. It's like I was blind, man. The solution was sublime, and I knew it all the time. I didn't see how I could do it until I put my mind to it. It works, it works, it works, it works. A space and time funicular, but it's vehicular because it works, it works, it works, it works. The world will write my story in this stainless steel DeLorean. The time continuum shall be traversed because Marty, it works, 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 it works.
No. Something that cooks. Something that cooks, huh? All right. This one's an oldie. Well, It's an oldie where I come from. It's a blues riff in B flat. Watch me for the changes and just try to keep up, okay? I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
This is Bob Gale doing a test in the event of a nuclear disaster. This would be the last test we ever did.
So hi Bob, welcome to Sydney. How have you been enjoying your time?
I love Sydney. It's great. I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of it after we get the show open. It's a beautiful country and it's a great city.
I have to say, first off the bat, to thank you for probably writing one of my favourite scripts, or definitely one of the best, most streamlined scripts I've ever read. What's that process been like in adapting it to a musical, considering the different formats?
Well, one of the things that was always in our heads was that we didn't want the musical to be a clone of the movie. We didn't want people to leave the theaters thinking, oh, I should have just stayed home and watched the movie again. So there's a lot of differences. It's a retelling of the first story, but it's told obviously with song and dance. And looking back on the 80s the way we look back on the 50s, because we're, for 40 more years beyond that. So there's a lot of references and humor that we don't have in the original movie. We also have things where, for example, Goldie Wilson, the mayor, was just a little bitty part in the original movie, but he was so beloved that we expanded his role. He's got this big bring down the house number that everybody loves. So we try to do things that made it really feel like it was musical theater, and not do things that we couldn't do well on stage. So for example, we don't have a skateboard chase on stage because that'd be too dangerous. You can't risk your actor breaking his ankle every night. That'd be crazy. We can't do the terrorist chase and gunfire on stage. You're not going to do that. So we had to come up with things that serve the same dramatic purpose, but were good for the stage. So there's some surprises. People will say, well, how are they going to do that? Well, we didn't do that. We did this instead. And I go, oh, very clever, very clever. That's smart that you did it that way. There's no dog, okay? Because we didn't want to have a guy dressed up in a dog costume. It looks silly. And you can't have a real dog because you never know what a dog's going to do. Okay, you want to see the dog, watch the movie again. But you want to see Back to the Future the musical, come to the Lyric Theater and see it.
Speaking of casting, and I just think of how iconic that Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox were in depicting the roles of Doc and Marty. Where do you start with trying to cast someone else to kind of fill those roles, and how did you find that process?
Well, getting Roger Bart to play Doc Brown was one of the great coups. He's a perfect Doc Brown. He has made his version of Doc Brown iconic in its own way. And he's borrowed sort of the unpredictability that Christopher Lloyd brings to the role, but there's a warmth to him that is not part of the way Chris plays the character. So this was the idea of saying, let's go back to who the characters really are as opposed to who the actors are. And yes, do the actors create a certain benchmark for what these characters should be? You know, we have the George McFly laugh. You have to have that, right? And our director never told the actors, do it the way that they did in the movie, except for one time. There's one line that Marty McFly delivers that it can only be delivered this way, which is, wait a minute, Doc, are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? It has to be like that, right? Because it's so iconic. But everything else, the performers were always, they were always encouraged, make the part yours. Make the part yours. See what the other people did in the movie, but it's got to be you. And that gave them a certain amount of comfort. It allowed them to have fun with the parts, and it shows.
That Alan Silvestri score is incredible when you think about all the kind of movies that have been released, not to mention the Huey Lewis kind of tracks. At what point did you and Robert Zemeckis think, hey, this could work as a musical?
Well, the first thing that we did when we had the idea of doing this as a musical, the first two phone calls that we made were Alan Silvestri and Glenn Ballard, songwriter Glenn Ballard, and they'd just both recently collaborated with Bob on the songs for Polar Express. And Bob said, let's sit down with those guys and see what they think. So we had lunch with them. We said, this is what we're thinking. We want to do a musical Back to the Future. We want it to be the retelling of the first movie, but also a celebration of the first movie. And these guys said, yeah, let's do this. Let's try it. So we said, why don't you guys go write a few songs and come back in a couple weeks and play them for us, and let's see what that's like. And they came back, and they had written 4 songs. All 4 songs are still in the show. Not exactly the way they wrote them, but they're there. And their sensibilities were exactly spot on for what we wanted. And we heard these songs, and we were laughing and laughing. Said, this could work. This really could work. And it started from there.
Thanks so much for your time, Bob. And I think I did hear you say that you were looking for people to feel that same emotion. I kind of felt it today, from that original film. So thanks so much for your time, and break a leg and best of luck.
Thank you very much. I just want to tell people that if you're a fan of the movie and you're afraid to go see the musical because you think it'll warp your childhood, ruin it in some way, don't think about that. I've been with this project from the very beginning. I thought of Back to the Future. I've shepherded through all of its iterations. This is Back to the Future. You're going to have a fabulous time. And if you've never even seen the movie, you can still thoroughly enjoy the musical. We've had plenty of people who have not seen the movie, young people, and they love the musical just as much as those that know it. So, see it.
I'm Ashleigh Rubenach, and I play Lorraine Baines McFly.
So welcome back to Sydney.
Thank you very much. Home.
Now, I know you just come off Sunset Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
considering that's really on the verge of the 50s, or kind of, I think it's 49 to 50.
Yeah, we have New Year's
yeah.
Eve 50 in the show, yeah.
Yeah, so has that helped you, considering you've got this major kind of part of 1955 in this, and it's kind of like you're nearly going through the decades, I guess?
Yeah, true.
How's that kind of been, has that been helpful, kind of going from one production to the next, considering it's very similar eras?
Definitely. I think it gives me a lot of context about, I suppose, the role of women in society at that time, and the way women behaved and held themselves in society at that time. Obviously, the characters are quite, they have similarities and differences. Betty in Sunset is a bit more headstrong than Lorraine publicly, but then Lorraine is extremely headstrong and ahead of her time behind closed doors in our show anyway. So I think that's given me, really lovely foundation to be able to jump straight into this beautiful era of 1955.
Lorraine's a fascinating character in the film because of, well, number one, what Leah Thompson does with it, but number two, it's nearly like she's playing two different personas, whether she's, the mother in the 80s versus, the we'll say rebellious kind of child in the 50s. What's your creative process like in depicting that? Did you kind of think of her as two different sides of the coin, or is she kind of hiding elements? What was your creative process like in developing the two aspects to her?
It's a great question, and certainly one of the most challenging parts of approaching this role. I think particularly the first Lorraine we encounter really intimidated me because she's been really worn down and exhausted by life, and is carrying quite a few burdens. But I think something that's quite magical about the way that the show is constructed, and certainly the incredible direction of John Rando, is that we get to see almost little embers of what we then come to learn of young Lorraine, so that we get this beautiful through line of kind of the parts of her that were subdued or snuffed out, to keep using that metaphor. So Lorraine in the beginning, I think it's nice to see sparks of that romanticism and that hopefulness that are then quickly crushed by elements of her life and her family, so that when we go back in time, we recognise those women as being the same. I think that's a really important aspect of storytelling in this show.
From what I saw today, I had to blink twice in that number because I think, where's Ashleigh? Because of the outfit and the kind of the costuming and stuff like that. So that's great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How has it been? Kind of, did you find that process transformative, and once you get the costume on, is that kind of when you're in, or
completely, which is always the case for me. I mean, in this show I'm a brunette, which is a revelation. I'm always blonde to my core, so even still now I'll walk past a mirror with my brunette Lorraine wig on and be like, whoa, who is that? But the costumes, they just make all the difference for me. You do a lot of incredible work internally in the rehearsal room, and obviously with the blocking and finding who they are. The costume is like the missing puzzle piece for me in the end. It affects the way that you stand, it affects the way that you walk, the way you hold yourself. That process of putting on my makeup and my wig and my costume is my transition from daytime Ashleigh into nighttime Lorraine. So I love it. It's one of my favourite parts of the process.
With this role of Lorraine, a lot of it surrounds her relationships, and it kind of ends up being a bit of a love quadrangle in some ways, because you've got, Biff is obviously, the object of desire, and there's that anti kind of chemistry there, but then you've got, pursuing Marty, which is, very taboo. And then, of course, you got your husband. So how have you found trying to develop chemistry with every cast member, considering you do have very key scenes with all of them?
100%, yeah. It's I'm very blessed that I am surrounded by some of the most kind, talented and considerate performers in the industry, in Axel and Ethan and Thomas. From the minute I met, it was the first time I'd met Ethan and Thomas in these rehearsals. I've known Ax for a while, and we've actually hoped to play siblings for a while, so close enough. But they are all, in their own way, so clever and so passionate about their craft that it's been really quite easy to develop both a friendship and an on-stage working chemistry with all of them. We're so lucky in that we're supported by an incredible team who always make us feel very safe and very supported in developing some of those scenes. But I think knowing that you're working with great people makes all the difference, and honestly it's probably the most fun I've ever had on stage because of these people.
Lots of pressure. Big shoes to fill. It is one of my favourite films. But what I was really surprised about is how, from what I've seen today, is how well it translates to a musical and into a stage. I'm shocked, to be honest, how well it translates.
Yes.
What did that film mean to you in that when was your first experience with it and what was your experience with the film when you saw Back to the Future for the first time?
I mean, Back to the Future was one of those films that I felt like was always on like a Saturday or a Sunday, and you'd sit down and watch it with your family. Like, I've got brothers, so that was something that they wanted to watch as well, but like my sisters did too. Like, it's because it's one of those films that has everything included in it. Like, you've got all of the action, but then you've got the romance and you've got the high school story. So Back to the Future has always been one of those, I suppose, classic, iconic, like, best films of all time in the canon of cinema. To see, even before I auditioned for it, that it had been transformed into a musical, I was similarly skeptical, I suppose, to go, well, how are they going to do that? How are you going to do sci-fi on stage? And as you said, getting to witness the way that they not only succeed in that, but just completely smash all expectations out of the park is pretty remarkable. I keep saying this to everyone I'm encountering, that it is one of the most unique musicals I've ever seen or been a part of. From the beginning we started rehearsing it, I was like, I want to see this show. So to be one of the cogs in the machine of what a remarkable feat of theatre it is to bring this to the stage is pretty amazing.
I think one of the biggest coups is just to get that Alan Silvestri score.
Oh my goodness!
In it, because it's just majestic, and then you've got the 50s and 80s music.
Yes.
Because you're musical, obviously. How have you found balancing that 80s, the 50s, and then obviously that cinematic score that's really quite rare for kind of musical theatre? Like, how do you adapted all that into your performance as well?
Oh, I mean, you're so right. Like, the blessing of having Alan Silvestri write the extra scoring or expand on the film score for the musical is such a gift, because it never ever happens, and it does create this incredible cinematic quality, and it's really emotional, like in the sense that if you're ever confused about what you're meant to be playing in a scene, Alan's music will tell you. He's so smart at crafting the emotional journey of the show, and the way that John's incorporated his direction into that is just remarkable. The different styles musically is thrilling, definitely a challenge, and certainly different to what I'm used to doing in more recent years. We mentioned Sunset, that's a pretty kind of legit musical theatre sound. This, we're much more in the pop world, both 50s pop and 80s pop. You've got a lot of belt, you've got a lot of kind of singing, a lot of pop intonation, so that's been fun to wear a different hat.
And because of the technical aspects, it's very, technical in what I've seen so far. How has that been engaging with that? Is it one of the ones at the top productions that you've kind of worked with, or is it kind of quite similar in some ways to others?
Oh, this is definitely the most technically challenging and astounding productions I've ever been a part of. Tech was pretty incredible, the way that this team and our incredible stage crew and our mechs managed to run tech and keep it all moving for the amount of moving parts there are on the stage. But it is really just like a well-oiled machine. You'd be amazed what's going on back there to make all of the incredible theatre magic happen.
Well, it looks incredible. Thank you so much for your time. I was
you.
so happy to see you cast in this
Thank
role,
you.
so it's great to see you on stage. Best of luck, break a leg, and look forward to seeing you tonight.
We'll see you tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Thomas McGuane, and I play Biff Tannen in Back to the Future the Musical.
Thomas, welcome back to Sydney. How have you been enjoying being in Back to the Future so far in previews?
Yeah, the preview season has been just so phenomenal. Like, it gives us time to sort of creatively and technically put together the show, but we also get to put it in front of fresh eyes, fresh audiences, where we get to sort of, get that external validation that things are working and we're really having the impact that the show really needs, and we truly are. The audiences have been absolutely phenomenal, and it's been super exciting to reveal these characters and this story to an audience that already appreciates the film and the sort of the fandom, but they're seeing it almost for the first time again.
I think your role is very interesting. I can't think of many movie characters that are kind of probably unanimously disliked in many ways. And I mean, I'm just trying to think how well it's depicted in the film. Where do you start in trying to create that character for the musical, considering the legacy of the film and what's needed to bring to the stage?
Yeah, totally. It's a fantastic question. I think a part of me really wants to pay tribute to the original work that Thomas Wilson did in the film. I think is phenomenal at sort of portraying that that character that really has no redeeming factors, and that's sort of the point. He's designed to be this character that really is truly unlikable, and whether that's true in life or real of a person is not really relevant, particularly when you've got characters that are very polar opposite to him throughout the film or throughout the musical. But I guess I really want to pay tribute to that, whilst also putting my own spin on something. We're never wanting to sort of replicate and mirror exactly what each of these characters do. We're wanting to bring more life to them, particularly when it's not just within the four walls of a lens. We're looking at a whole proscenium, and we're making these characters bigger and huger and larger in life. So I think in that way it's been fun to sort of enlarge in that personality and that bullyhood. Biff has become synonymous with the word bully. To be a Biff is to be a bully. It's sort of become part of the lexicon and part of the sort of zeitgeist of that time. So yeah, it's been really phenomenal to sort of bring that to life and bring my own spin to it.
When you're breaking down that character, I guess when you're prepping to get in that role, are you trying to break it down and look for his motivations, or are you just playing it totally as, okay, well, this guy's evil, he's a bully, there's no real rhyme and reason behind it, it's just that classic kind of trope, I guess?
Again, a really good question. I think it'd be dangerous for me to play just bully because it then doesn't come from anything, right? So I guess my role is to, though it's not explicitly presented in the script or in the movie or in the musical, I really do have to create a reason for why he is the way he is, and that's just my own process. I often think about, hurt people. So something's clearly happened to him in the past, and that's just my own take on it, such that he then behaves the way that he does. What if he's got a bad family relationship? He's sort of had a bad history with being bullied himself, and maybe that's why he bullies, and so that sort of creates a reason as to why he does what he does without just, we never just play happy for the sake of being happy. There's always a reason. So I think for him, it's always grounded in truth, and the matter of the fact is that no one does what they do without a reaction. We don't just do life, we react to life. So I think for him, it's, finding that deeper meaning, and then that becomes truthful in a very musical and then very dramatic way, but it's always grounded in truth, yeah.
I guess his main desire line and wants really is very much surrounded around Lorraine.
Yes.
How do you go about, Ashleigh Rubenach playing that role, how do you go about kind of creating, I guess maybe it's a bit of an anti-chemistry or that dynamic on stage? Where do you start with that?
Totally. Well, it starts from the complete opposite. It comes from a place of safety. We both need to make sure that both actors are feeling okay with the actions that we do within the show. And then it's about retroactively designing it backwards and going, okay, what is safe for me to do? Am I allowed to place my hands here to create the dramatic effect of, let's say, sort of a violent act, whether it's grabbing of a leg or an arm or even a hug can be something that can be perceived as violent. So we need to make sure that we both feel safe in that. And then, you then add the layer on top of that, which is the story and these characters, being who they are. Lorraine, who's a very lovely, sweet woman who has her own ambitions, and then Biff, who for some reason or another desires Ashleigh's character to be someone that he wants, and in fact someone he thinks he deserves. So in that way, it's about first and foremost feeling safe, and then from there we go, great, now how can we make this realistic enough that it's believable that Biff really is trying to grab and latch onto Lorraine, and Lorraine is wanting to push back on that.
Considering you're kind of, the gatekeeper of this character for the Australian audiences, at least for now, what would you like audiences to take from the character that you're kind of portraying in this? Like, what do you want them to kind of get out of it? Yeah,
well, I think my first and foremost job is to make sure that this character isn't liked. Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of an oxymoron as an actor. Like, we often have these egos of like, love me, and and whether that's true or not for each and every individual, I think it's interesting to play a character that is I'm truly wanting the audience to not like me. So actions and the way that I say things and the way that I present certain lines sort of needs to land in such a way that I'm affecting the audience and going, oh, that's actually revolting, disgusting, vile, a bully. I'm wanting them to feel, and I'm wanting to affect them in that way. So and that's a challenge. That's been one of my biggest challenges, because in real life I'm very polite and really lovely, and I think
Charming, yeah.
yeah, and I think it's but it's been a fun journey to also have that safe environment with this creative team, John Rando, who's just absolutely phenomenal with directing the show, and then with this phenomenal cast with Ashleigh, and Ethan, Axel, Roger. This cast is truly phenomenal. So having that safe space to be able to create this character within that sort of bubble has been a delight. Yeah.
Tremendous. Thanks so much for your time, Bob.
Of course, thanks so much.
Break a leg, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing you tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Hi, I'm John Rando, and I'm the director of Back to the Future, the musical.
Hey John, welcome to Sydney. How are you liking it so far?
I love Sydney. It's been an incredible visit, and I'm going to be sad to have to leave after opening night, because a person surely could live here. It's really special.
This show, based off probably one of my favourite films, easily. What did you see in the show? I mean, it's a very tight script. What did you see in the show that you thought, hey, this could be a musical?
It's a really good question. Because I know the movie very well, and loved it as a 20-something in the 80s, and when you create musicals, especially musicals out of movies, you want a great story. You want like a big mountain to climb, a big story. And Back to the Future is probably one of the 80s. It's probably one of the strongest screenplays written, and the story is just so smart and brilliant and fun. And I knew that it would make a great musical because of that very thing. The lead character, Marty McFly, having this incredible mountain to climb, which is he's got to, bring his somehow he's got to get himself back to 1985, having accidentally ended up in 1955 because his best friend created this unbelievably wild time travel machine in a car called the DeLorean, and along the way he has to make sure that his teenage father and his teenage mother fall in love and kiss. It's a great story.
The creative process involved with getting this to work for a musical, are you, because of time length and that sort of thing, are you trying to add elements in to make it work? Are you taking elements out of the previous script? Because that script was so tight by Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale.
Yeah, the original movie script is our foundation, it's our spine, it's our backbone for the musical, and then working with Bob Gale to turn it into a musical, and with Glenn Ballard and Ellen Silvestri, our songwriters. We worked hard at, one of the things that a musical can do is can get inside a character even further. When the character sings, we can learn more and more about the character, and I think that's if you know the movie and if you're a fan of the movie, it's really wonderful to see how we open up the characters of Biff, how we open up the characters of George and Lorraine, and really get into their psychology and where they are thinking. And it's also quite funny because of that. But we embrace what is wonderful about the original, and yet we have to be a musical at the same time. So it's that constant balance and debate. The other component to this is there's a phenomenal film score. The score of the movie is so famous and so beautiful. Alan Silvestri, the composer of the movie, was also one of our songwriters and truly also our composer. And his work throughout the show, if you're a fan of the movie, and especially a fan of Alan Silvestri's, you're really going to love the score to this show, because it really does embrace all of that beautiful music orchestral music that you are fond of from the film. And if you don't know the movie, what's so great about the musical and about this is that it'll introduce you to this kind of a score and this kind of a style of musical, which is cinematic in feel, but musical theater in style.
No word of a lie. He's one of my favourite composers, and the Back to the Future score is by Alan Silvestri, is one of the best scores of all time. Then you've got Huey Lewis and his music. How difficult is it to get the rights and all that kind of stuff to kind of make a musical like this, considering how important it is?
So the question of rights is really easy on this one, especially with Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis obviously is a dear friend of Bob Gale's and a collaborator and a colleague of Glenn Ballard's, and everybody knows everybody. And when Huey Lewis heard that we were doing this and that he definitely wanted to make sure that his songs were featured, and so we do that.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
There's also a fun, for those of you that are fans of the movie, there's a couple of fun, well, I would call them Easter eggs about Huey Lewis in the musical, just as there is in the movie.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I thank you so much for kind of bringing this on stage, because it's just it even, like, from what I've seen today, it even translates better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Much I love that film.
I will tell you this: when Steven Spielberg came to see our opening night on Broadway, one of the comments he made was he never dreamt that he would experience watching that movie again with a room of 1,400 people all enjoying it the exact same way they did when they saw it back when he first premiered it back in 1985. And I think that was a really great feeling, because it's one thing to enjoy the movie on your phone, on your iPad, or on your TV. It's another thing to experience it live with in a big room with a lot of people laughing and cheering and celebrating.
Was feedback to you? Like, I mean, I've had that euphoria just, walking in like I did when I was watching the movie. So if that was your goal, it's definitely kind of worked out. So thanks so much.
Great Scott! Good evening. This is Dr. Emmett L. Brown, and this is my time machine.
A time machine?
You're a slacker, McFly. Face it, you've got no future.
I gotta get back in time. 1955?
Hey, McFly, I thought I told you never to come in here.
If they don't meet, they won't fall in love, they won't get married, and neither you nor your siblings will ever be born.
You don't need money, don't take fame, don't need no credit card to ride this train. It's strong and it's sudden and it's cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life. That's the power of love.
Greetings once again, guys. Just got out of the media call for the brand new production playing in Sydney at the Sydney Lyric Theatre, and that is Back to the Future, the musical. Of course, it is based off the 1985 motion picture, written by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, and also directed by Robert Zemeckis. Steven Spielberg had a big producing role in that as well, but in essence, it is the adaptation of that film into a musical. And from what I've seen today, I'm utterly amazed how well it does adapt as a musical. Just talking to Bob Gale today, there are certain changes in the show as it's presented compared to the film. There's a few exclusions, like the terrorist chase and the skateboard chase and Einstein the dog. Practically not in this show, but every other element about it feels like Back to the Future. And that is an amazing feat in itself. It is one of my favourite films, undeniably, and it's got to be one of the best screenplays ever written. In addition to that, it has one of the best film scores of all time, and some really amazing songs, courtesy of Huey Lewis. Now, the funny thing about that is those musical elements do feature very largely in this production, and it translates to a musical incredibly well from what I've seen, very much to my surprise. I do love the film, but I didn't think it would translate to a musical as well as it has from what I've seen today. And that's a credit to the creative team for doing that. It is utterly amazing. Now, how do you fill the shoes of the two incredible actors that took on the characters of Doc Brown and Marty McFly, being Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox? Well, they've cast two incredible performers in this. Roger Bart takes on the role of Doc Brown, and he actually is the principal who debuted the production in the West End, and also it went to Broadway as well, where he featured as well. He's going to be here playing the role of Doc Brown, and I never thought I'd say this because I don't think anyone could be cast in the role of Doc Brown like Christopher Lloyd. He's an outlier, he's one of a kind. But what Roger Bart does in this show is incredible from what I've seen so far. Just amazing how he takes on the nuances of Doc Brown and the essence of that character, but he kind of puts his own kind of twist to it, and it's still highly humorous and entertaining, and he has the expressions and the key moments that Christopher Lloyd kind of created, and I think that's wonderful. In the role of Marty McFly in this production, taking on the role that Michael J. Fox made famous, is Axel Duffy. To my surprise as well, he's incredibly good. He takes on some of the nuances that Michael J. Fox made famous in that show, and some of the classic one-liners, but at the same time it just works on stage. He just kind of resonates with that character, and he's got that kind of interesting element to him. He's probably not as cool as Michael J. Fox was. He's got a bit more awkwardness to him from what I've seen so far, but those nuances just kind of really work, and I think it's a tremendous thing. Another star in this is Ashleigh Rubenach, who takes on the role of Lorraine Baines. She's incredible from what I've seen so far. I haven't seen too much of her just yet, but from what I have seen, she just utterly transforms into that role. She looks fantastic in that part, and she's just embodying that. She's obviously just kind of recently come off Sunset Boulevard as well. So from what I've seen, fantastic so far, and it's just amazing some of the stagecraft and how technical this show actually is. It does feature the infamous DeLorean, and it is a masterpiece on stage. It looks tremendous. It is utterly alive, and I don't say that with any subtlety. It looks fantastic. In short, you definitely have to check this production out, and how amazing it translates from the film to the stage is utterly amazing to me. So definitely get your tickets now. There is going to be a limited run for it in Sydney, but I wouldn't be surprised if they extend it. This show looks that good. I will see it in its entirety tonight at opening night, so hopefully I'll have a review out for that reasonably in a short amount of time, but bear with me. But yeah, it does look like a utterly fantastic kind of show, just technically and just the staging and the stagecraft, and just some of the performances that I've seen so far. It just translates so well. Of course, if you don't know, it's a film that involves time travel, so they do go to the 1950s, and they are in the 1980s as well, and just those set pieces, it does feel at moments like that 1950s musical, but with a modern sci-fi twist, and it's hard to describe until you see it, but it just works. It just works, and it's incredible how well it does work. So definitely check it out. Obviously, Bob Gale has been here today kind of promoting it as well. He was the original writer and creator of Back to the Future, and I think it's just kind of wonderful how much effort they're kind of putting in to kind of present this kind of fantastic production. So definitely check it out while you can. Tickets are available for the Lyric Theatre for a limited time for Back to the Future. So can't recommend what I've seen highly enough. Extremely looking forward to seeing it in its entirety. But aside from that, I'm about to head off. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Also leave a comment to let us know what you're looking forward to Back to the Future, and also if you have seen it, what you thought of it, and just even just your general thoughts about what you think of that masterpiece of a movie from 1985. Also, definitely like and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. But I'm about to head off. I'll catch you guys at the next one. So long.
Oh, Doc. Huh? This is nuts. That's the Sydney Harbor Bridge. You can't seriously be planning to channel lightning through it.
The flux capacitor demands energy, 1.21 gigawatts. And what better conductor than this marvel of engineering?
But Doc, what if it doesn't work?
What?
Hey, Doc, hello? Doc!
Then, Marty, the future of musical theater will never arrive.